Hello, this is Eric Thompson. I am CEO of Peerless Wealth, a registered investment advisory firm right here in Columbus, Ohio. As always, thanks again for tuning in. I try to educate and inform on these videos, and hopefully everyone learns something. So this one is called The Power of Doubling. And I'll start it off with a story actually about my grandfather. He's passed away since, but before him and my grandmother passed away, they had saved some money and they were clients. I helped them invest it and grow it. And my grandpa admitted he was a super hard worker. He ran a sheet metal shop. He was a butcher for a while, and he was a great saver. But he admitted he never understood the theory and the definition of compound interest. And that's what this video is going to be about. In fact, Albert Einstein was quoted in saying that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world and is mankind's greatest invention. And I'm going to illustrate the power of that. And this video is really aimed at maybe the younger savers, the 20 and 30 somethings. And I realize my client base is, a lot of them are retired or close to that. So if you're watching it and you're not a 20 or 30 somethings, this is a lesson that I want you to pass on to your kids or to somebody else that you think would benefit from it. So I'm going to start by defining a really interesting mathematical relationship that you can impress your friends and family with at the dinner table if you choose to. It's called the rule of 72. And some of you may know this. And it's a mathematical relationship that uses the number 72. And if you take 72 and you divide it by your projected rate of return. So let's say I project that I'm going to make 9% per year in my investments, which is roughly the long-term average of the S&P 500. So if I take 72 and I divided my projected rate of return of 9, I get 8. Well, that means it's going to take 8 years for a chunk of money growing at 9% a year to double. So it tells you how long it'll take money to double. Well, what if you earn a little bit better than 9%? What if you earn 12% a year? Okay, what's 72 divided by 12? 6. Now it only takes 6 years for money to double. Well, what if I invest more conservative and I only make 6% a year? Well, 72 divided by 6, now you're taking 12 years for money to double. And it actually is a very accurate rule. You can obviously get financial calculators and do the same thing, but it's something that you can just kind of have inside your head. So why does that matter? I put an illustration together that you'll see up on the board, and or you'll see here in the background. And I've compared two individuals. Each of them starts saving for retirement with $50,000. And by the way, this ignores regular contributions, which really people should be doing. But I want to illustrate the simplicity of the rule of 72, and I want to illustrate the powerfulness of compounding with a very simple illustration. So the first individual starts at $50,000, doesn't save another dime. The second individual also starts with $50,000 and doesn't save another dime. They average 9% per year return, and you can see that in the bottom right. Well, what's the rule of 72 say? 72 divided by 9%, that means that money will double every 8 years. So let's see how these two individuals compare. Well, the individual starts at 25, which is in the left-hand column. At age 33, 8 years later, he's now doubled his money to $100,000. 41, he's got 200 grand. 49, he's got 400 grand. 57, he has 800,000. 65, he has 1.6 million. 73, he has 3.2 million. And these numbers could be significantly greater if he were to put money in every year regularly. But again, we'll keep this simple. Compare that to the individual that waits. He waits till he's 41. He waits 16 years later. So his money doubles also every 8 years. But because he starts 16 years behind, he misses out on the last two doublings, and he has 800,000 at retirement instead of 3.2. Those last doublings are the big ones. 50 to 100, okay, whatever, it's good, but you go from 800 to 1.6 and 1.6 to 3.2. Those are big numbers, and that's the power of starting early. He started 16 years early with the same amount of money, but he has four times the amount saved for retirement. Those two individuals are going to have very different retirements. One has 3.2, one has 800,000. And again, it's starting early. This takes time though. It doesn't happen overnight. Banks aren't paying any interest, 1% if you're lucky. So we got to seek more returns than that, but we don't want to be crazy and buy, IPOs and things that could crash. So good quality companies, the S&P 500 has averaged a little over 9% over the last 100 years, and that's a reasonable number to use. There'll be bumps, of course, in the road, but I think this is a powerful illustration. So I have two more illustrations I want to show as well. The next one is very, very similar. So it's titled How to Make $50,000 More Than Your Friends with Less Work. So we compare two individuals, and this one has names. We compare Smart Sally and Dumb Dan. So Smart Sally, instead of having $50,000 like the last one, she doesn't start with any. She's 25 years old. She simply saves $100 a month. And I think this illustration assumes a 8% rate of return, so similar. So Smart Sally saves $100 a month, starts when she's 25, does it for 10 years, stops saving when she's 35 and just lets her saving compound and grow. And with an 8% rate of return at age 65, she is just over $200,000. Now let's go to Dumb Dan. Dumb Dan doesn't start saving until he's 35. And instead of saving for 10 years, that same $100 a month, he saves for 30 years. He still has less than Smart Sally. He has $149,000, even though he saved 3 times as much money because he didn't start early enough and he didn't get those last couple doublings that I'm talking about. So starting early is the key. Now, if it's too late for you all to start early, you're gonna have to save more, but the compounding and the math still is very compelling the longer you have the investments in there. And then the last illustration that I'm gonna show you that I think is just, I was actually amazed when I saw this one, but it's the net worth of Warren Buffett against his age. So most people know who Warren Buffett is. He runs Berkshire Hathaway, which is a conglomerate. They're an insurance company, but then they invest in a lot of publicly traded companies as well. I actually own the stock. I own it for some clients as well. But he's had a very good track record of picking good companies and managing businesses and creating returns for himself and his investors. And he is 83 years old. Now, and he is currently worth, at least as of this illustration, $58 billion. But most of that, as you've seen, has come in about the last 10 to 20 years. In fact, if you look closely, when he was age 39, he was worth $25 million. It's impressive. When he was age 44, he was worth $19 million. He actually lost money from the period of time when he was 39 to 44. And then it wasn't until he was 56 that he made his first billion. He was worth 1.4. 59 years old, 3.8. Now 58 billion. It's because of the last few doublings, as well as the fact that he's been able to create outsized returns more than that 8 and 9% figure that I gave you before. But the chart illustrates how powerful it is to start early and how important it is to compound that money over time. I hope you learned something. As always, shoot me an email, call me if you have any questions or concerns, and have a great rest of the week. Thank you for tuning in.